guys, it's Anthony. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to go over some car sales tips, specifically 5 cardinal rules for the car business. Now, there's definitely more than 5. I picked 5. I think this video is super valuable for the beginner just getting started, learning the ropes, learning the do's and don'ts, and somebody with a little bit more experience that wants to tighten up and just go back to the basics. So, 5 cardinal rules of the car business. Rule number 1, you must demonstrate the vehicle and test drive it with your customer 100% of the time. You would be shocked how many salespeople don't do a proper vehicle presentation, a hood and trunk, a demo, whatever you call it at your store, or test drive the vehicle. And there's a number of reasons why they don't. Either the customer has that vehicle but a few years older and they know what's in it, or they saw it online, or they drove it somewhere else. All of these reasons are just hurting your potential probability of closing the deal and taking money out of your pocket if you don't demo the car with the customer and test drive it. You can't bank on somebody down the street doing a proper walk around and test drive. And if it's been a while since your customer drove the car, then they've probably cooled off of all the value they're getting in return. Now they're just shopping payment and price. So this even happens when they're in your store. If you did test drive the vehicle and did demo the vehicle with them, but it's been an hour since they did so, while you're negotiating, they forget what they're getting in return. So you have to demo the car. You have to test drive with them. I may do it twice. I may do it mid-negotiation if I'm at a standstill. I may take them outside to look at the car again and remind them of what they're getting in return. Think about it. You wouldn't buy a house off of Realtor.com or Redfin without actually going to the house, right? You wouldn't buy a suit without trying it on that you have to wear to your wedding. So you got to let them do that. Even if they've done it before, you got to let them re-fall in love with the product. So you have to demo the car and you have to test drive it with them 100% of the time, no matter what. No matter if they said they've done it before, you have to do that. Don't bank on somebody else doing your job for you, because I don't want to leave it up to fate. I want to be in control of my own destiny. Demo and test drive the car 100% of the time. Cardinal rule number 2, you have to do a trade walk 100% of the time. Once again, I am blown away by the amount of salespeople that don't walk their trade with their customers. So if you're new to the business, when your customer has a trade-in, you have to go around that trade-in with the customer, devaluing that trade-in. We're going to go over that in another video. We're probably going to do that in a live video at the dealership where I'll show you how to do that. But at the very least, go out, look at the trade with your customer, allow them to start to sell that trade to you, because that's what they're going to do. Take a peek at the imperfections. Most importantly, let them see you see the imperfections, because when they do that in their mind, let's say hypothetically they wanted $25,000 for their trade. If they see you see the imperfections, the rip in the leather, the ding on the door, the stain on the carpet, whatever it may be, in their mind they're saying, okay, I wanted $25,000, but if I can get 24 or 23, so they start to actually devalue it themselves. That's gross profit. That's gross profit. That's the same as holding gross profit on the sale price of your vehicle. That's real money that you get paid on. So you have to do that. And it also makes it much harder for them to look you in the eye with a straight face when you're negotiating and tell you how amazing their trade-in is if they know you saw all of the imperfections. You have to do a trade walk for the same reasons why you have to demonstrate the new car with the customer. It's all gross profit oriented. You have to do it. You have to do it. So trade walks 100% of the time. We'll go over in other videos how to do those effectively without insulting your customer, but at the same time, devaluing the vehicle and the trade-in that your customer is trading in that you ultimately want to hold gross profit on. Cardinal rule number 3, never talk money on the lot. We're going to go over how to overcome all of the objections you're going to hear on the lot in a different video, but I'm going to give you the overall reason why you don't want to do that. From a psychological standpoint, I don't believe that many managers actually tell their salesperson this. They talk about don't talk money on the lot because you don't want to give up gross profit, but I believe you don't want to talk money on the lot because you don't want your customer thinking about that, because then your vehicle presentation will not be received as well by them. Their mind's going to be elsewhere. If they're thinking about payments, if they're thinking about price, if they're second guessing whether or not they can afford that vehicle, if they're trying to calculate what the monthly payments would be, if they're thinking about anything else other than the vehicle, its value, and your presentation, they're shut down. It's like, have you ever spoken to somebody and you know they're not really listening to you? They're almost staring through you. You see that gaze in their eyes? Well, that's what happens if your customer's thinking about anything other than that vehicle while you're presenting it. Talking about money only gets in the way, or it'll talk the customer out of even wanting to be there on the lot. They'll shut down, or they'll give you some BS about how they have to go. They got to get out of there. They're pressed for time, and then you're going to lose the customer. So you're doing them a disservice. You're doing yourself a disservice. Save them from themselves if out on the lot. Don't talk about money. We're going to go over how to overcome all those objections if they bring up to you money on the lot, or if they're trying to milk you for information, how to overcome those. We're going to go over that in future videos. So cardinal rule number 3, do not talk money on the lot. Cardinal rule number 4, never speak during a manager TO. So a TO, if you're new to the business, is a turnover. That's when you turn the deal over to a manager. It doesn't mean you lose the deal, but that means a manager comes in to speak to your customer in efforts to close the deal and ultimately, in a perfect world, gain gross profit. You never want to speak during the TO because you don't know what tricks the manager has up their sleeve. You don't know what bits of information you relayed back to the manager that they're going to use when trying to close the deal and how they're going to use them. Also, you want to allow your customer the opportunity to save face. Hypothetically, let's say your customer said they can't afford a payment of $900 per month. If your manager comes out and tries to get them to close at $900, you don't want to speak up and say, no, they can't do the $900. Or let's say your customer said no, they didn't want to lease the vehicle, only finance it. Your manager comes over and pitches a lease to your customer. You don't want to speak in and say, no, John, they're not going to lease the car. You got to allow your customer the opportunity to change their mind. So when the manager comes in, you be quiet, you don't say a word, you sit there. Ideally, if it's a round table, you like to sit between your manager and your customer, or if you can, sit next to your customer to create the perception that you're on your customer's side and you're working together to make this deal happen, but you do not want to speak at all during a TO. Shut up, don't say anything. It doesn't matter if you feel like your manager is wrong. It doesn't matter if the customer says something that you believe is opposite from what they told you. Be quiet, don't speak. It's nothing against you, but you're allowing the customer an opportunity to change their mind or say something different than what they said to you, which in most cases will work in your favor, because if they were saying things to you that were, ideal, the manager wouldn't be in there. So just be quiet, don't say anything. Cardinal rule number 4, never speak during a TO. Cardinal rule number 5, never let a customer leave your dealership without speaking to a manager. A manager has to talk to your customer 100% of the time. It doesn't matter what the scenario is. It doesn't matter if the deal doesn't look promising at all and your manager seems frustrated. You go back to speak to your customer. Regardless, you cannot let the customer leave without speaking to a manager. That's a fireable offense in some dealerships, and you don't know what your manager is doing on that computer when structuring a deal. You don't know what their game plan is. Your manager's job is also not to really let you know where you're at in the deal, because they have to save you from yourself as well. If you knew exactly where your bottom was, what the lowest deal you would take, you would probably drop your pants and go to that in the spirit of, the path of least resistance. So you cannot let a customer leave without speaking to your manager, because the manager may be able to use some type of technique or tactic that you don't have yet in your sales career. Or if your customer hears it from your manager as well as you, it starts to reiterate and reaffirm whatever position you guys are holding, and you just can't let the customer leave without speaking to a manager. It's a fireable offense. You don't know what your manager's doing on that end of the computer. You don't know how far away or how close you are to making a deal, and you don't know if your manager is going to be able to say something that maybe you didn't think of, right? You're a team, so why not get everyone involved? But you cannot let a customer leave without speaking to a manager. That's a fireable offense, and that's something you definitely don't want to do. Hey, my friend, thank you for watching. And if you want to see videos just like this one, please like and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate the love and support. And don't forget, leave some comments down below. I'm looking forward to all of your interaction and feedback, and I can't wait to bring you more videos just like this one. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.